So there have been some prominent figure skaters that it almost seemed like they were in competition for attention on my feed. That's how I tend to think about it because boy did they show up a lot and all at once. There was Valeva. I'm mixing up on her last name and I apologize for that, but I did watch what happened to her and about the issue of the doping scandal and the pressure that she was under and her breaking down and crying and her coach just was not empathetic and I think she was just scared. And so Valeva was one of the ones that came up on my feed. Johnny Weir was another one. And I watched Dancing with the Stars on and off, and I found out Chris Metcalf was the cameraman for Dancing with the Stars, and this was after some years of actually having watched it, and then I found that out, and I think my jaw just dropped. But Johnny Weir was on Dancing with the Stars, and I could see him getting into the costumes, wearing them, and having fun with it. He gets into quirky costumes, and I could just see him doing it. Just having fun. So something that I found interesting with this, and I looked it up. Okay, so Colonel John Weir, or no, I don't know if it was John Weir, but a Colonel Weir died on the Titanic. And somebody named Cameron, I think it was connected with the Titanic. And then Candace Cameron was on Dancing with the Stars, and she was on Full House and Fuller House, which I've watched both of those. And I was watching Full House as a kid while I was growing up. I related to growing up with all three of the girls on there, and feeling like I grew attached to Jessie and Danny and what was it? Why am I fogging? I hate that. But I felt like I grew up with them. And it became even funnier when I realized that I was in band with Brienne Cameron and clicked that. But there was also a lot of things that went with Full House that was kind of complicated too. Jodie Sweetin, she was on Dancing with the Stars as well. And she was a great dancer, by the way. I thought she was excellent as well. Both her and Candace were awesome dancers. And, I'd seen Jodie Sweetin dance on Full House, and she was really good. But just the thought that these figure skaters know who my family is, that kind of, that was something else. But I could actually see the connection between the dancing and the skating and it coming fairly naturally because I view skating as like dancing. It's basically dancing on ice. They can incorporate the elements of dancing and then with the techniques and stuff and the jumps. And so another one that showed up on my feed was Tara Lipinski, and Johnny Weir is friends with Tara Lipinski. And she won the gold at the Olympics some years ago. It was quite some time. She's now an announcer, and she does announcing with Johnny Weir. But Tara Lipinski was on Malcolm in the Middle, which Susan Sarandon was in, and she was in Little Women. And there was Jessica Edwards who played Cheryl, and Laurie Metcalf. And so when I looked at Tara Lipinski and then I saw a character with my name and then saw Laurie Metcalf, then I started to look at Tara Lipinski's nose. And I thought, that looks kind of like my family's nose. Is it possible? And maybe yes, maybe no. I don't know whether Tara would want to answer that for me or not, but it's a thought that popped into my head. But where this gets nerve-wracking is that in the Zodiac case, Linda Edwards was a victim of the Zodiac. And so is Betty Lou Jensen. And I went to school with Rich Jensen, and he's on my brother's Facebook friends page. And Jake Gyllenhaal, who is, I think, my cousin, my left eye's saying, I think, yes, and my right eye's going, yeah. So somebody doesn't like this and somebody does. Okay, I think I got confirmation about something anyway. But yeah, I went to school with Rich Jensen, and he's on my brother's Facebook page. And Donald Logue was in Zodiac, and he was in that. And so, there, and Susan Sarandon was in Little Women on Malcolm in the Middle, and then you got Donald Logue, who was in Zodiac, and he was in Little Women. So I think that's something that needs to be linked or said. But okay. So I went to school with John Roberts, who was on my brother's baseball team. And I think John Roberts was one of those popular kids where everybody liked him. It just seemed like that to me. I don't know. It's like you go everywhere and you hear John Roberts. But okay, Julia Roberts was in Erin Brockovich, and she had the Jensen family as one of her clients. And in the movie, she had to gain, I think it was 600 and... How many signatures was it? God. Was it 614 or something like that? She had to gain a lot of signatures. In the movie, she makes a joke about giving a lot of blowjobs to get people to sign it, and how exhausted she was. And one of the guys in the scene tries to keep he gets a little smirk on his face, well, kind of sort of trying to keep a straight face, but it was funny. But I think what makes that more complicated, and here's where it gets messy, is that the lady that she handed the signatures over saying she had a present for was a Mrs. Sanchez. I think it was Terry Sanchez. She worked for PG&E. And I know Justin Sanchez from Safeway. And I've known him for... Well, I think, was I 18 when I went to work at Safeway? And he was 22. And I had a crush on him. And I was awkward and quiet. I got nervous around him. And I was the bagging girl, and he was the checkout dude. The cashier. And, later on, after I dated Jack Kidder, Jack Kidder first brought me to Kodiak's the first time I went. And after that, it was a couple years later after we broke up that I started going again. And then I couldn't help it. I wanted to flirt with Justin, and I liked it when he flirted with me. I mean, if he got in my space, game on, or I was happy with it. Even though I was awkward as heck, aspy female flirting. My nose itches. But I hadn't figured out all this stuff out yet. There's a lot of things that I didn't know. And apparently there was a lot to figure out. I mean, holy expletive. But, yeah. It's hard enough to figure out what I know and what I'm thinking about something. And then I got to figure out what other people are thinking and what other people know. And I have to look at it from 50 different angles. Or it could be more like 6,000 or more. That's exhausting. But I try. Anyway.